You're on Food Lovers TV, and today we're going to show you how to make a perfect roast chicken. Lee here is beside me, her recipe, so only right that she should be here to cook it as well. First off, Lee, you've chopped an onion.
Yes, I finely chopped an onion and some bacon.
A rasher of bacon. Leave the fat on because fat in the filling and the stuffing is really good. A clove of garlic. Now behind me I've got a frying pan on, and what we're going to do is just a drizzle of olive oil in the pan, and we're just going to cook that off till the onion's tender. Now Lee, you've been out and picked some beautiful fresh herbs from the garden. What have we got?
We've got some sage leaves here.
Okay, about 4. You don't need too many because sage is really strong, and it's really a case of less is more because it's quite an overpowering flavour. So you're going to chop that up. We've also got some lovely thyme leaves there. Now because they're tiny, you don't need to chop them. What you need to do is just take the leaves off the stem. And we've got some flat leaf parsley. Lee, you were saying if we had marjoram in the garden, you would use that as well. Would you use that instead of one of these or add it in?
I'd use it instead of the sage. I really like marjoram. It's got a beautiful flavour. But I'd use the marjoram and the thyme together and the parsley.
Okay. Yeah. Now, while we're stuffing a chicken with this, it's also a really lovely stuffing that you can do for turkey, particularly your Christmas turkey. And while I've put bacon in it, what you can do for your Christmas turkey, if you like, is add chorizo into it, which is really delicious. And we did that, didn't we, over Christmas time. Okay, this onion and a bacon is looking pretty good, so I'm going to bring that over here. And what you're supposed to do is soften it without really colouring. I've got some colour, and I don't think it's going to matter too much. Lee, you're going to put the herbs into there, and all up, it's looking like we've probably got about 1/4 cup of herbs, haven't we? Now you're going to put some lemon in. While you're doing that, shall I put in the breadcrumbs? And breadcrumbs I've just done with a couple of day old leftover sliced bread, and I'm using a wholemeal bread, but it's really up to you. I like wholemeal because I like the texture that you get from it, just a little bit coarser than if you're using white bread. Lee, what do you think, about 2 cups?
Yep.
Chicken. Okay, you've got that there. Now here's a spoon, just a dessert spoon. Now I will give you some salt and pepper, and you can show us roughly how much yogurt. We measure it into a cup, then we know sort of what we're putting in there. So do you think about 1/2 cup of?
Yes, you just want it moist to hold together and not gloopy.
I would use a full cream yogurt when you're making a stuffing because you want to have body, you want the fat in there as well. Okay, so at the moment we've probably got about 1/4 cup of yogurt in there, and that's to 2 cups of breadcrumbs. So we're just going to see what sort of texture we end up with that. And we're almost there, aren't we, Lee?
That's enough, yeah.
Okay, 1/4 cup of yogurt.
About 1/4 cup.
Okay, let's bring this fine bird in front of us. And the lemon, you would have used about 1 tablespoon of finely grated lemon rind. Okay, here we've got our chicken, and we have rinsed it. We've patted it dry, even though it's sort of still looking a bit shiny. It has been rinsed and patted dry, and it's size 16. I have used a free-range corn-fed chicken, but of course that's entirely up to you. Okay, stuffing in. And remember too, a food safety tip is when you're stuffing the chicken, make sure you're going to cook it straight away. Because if you leave it sitting around, you will have just blood and juices from the chicken seep into the stuffing. And when you're cooking it, you may not get to a higher enough internal temperature in the middle of that stuffing to kill any bugs that may be in the chicken. So make sure that once you've stuffed your chicken, you're then going to go straight into the oven. Okay, so what you're doing now is you're just folding over the flaps of skin at the base. Okay.
That keeps we quite like that fat, and then it keeps the stuffing from falling out.
Cool.
Good.
We're going to turn it round to face you. Okay, now string.
Selected a nice long piece of string.
And of course cotton string as opposed to nylon because it's going in the oven. I'm stating the obvious, but just to clarify on that one. Okay.
So I just divide the string in half.
So you've got double thickness?
I've got double thickness here, and I've got a nice long piece because there's nothing worse than having chicken on your hands, having to go back to your string.
Okay.
What I want to do is tie these legs together.
Okay.
That's my aim. So I'm just going to do a little knot like that, and another one like that, and then I'm just going to do a knot here so that it just like a knot like that. I've got lots of string, so I've got lots to play with. So I've tied those guys.
So you've tied them together, and it doesn't have to be too tight.
No, it just doesn't need to slip. So I want to bring the string down, and I don't want to cross the breast because it looks pretty looks better if the breast has not got a string mark. So then I roll the bird over, and I just tuck these in like that. The idea of trussing a chicken is to get it exactly the same, as uniform a size as you can. So when you're cooking it in the oven, no little bits stick out, because if these little bits stick out,
They get two colours, right?
They get too coloured and they overcook.
So then you're tying a knot, and that knot, so we've got breast side done, we're tying a knot at the top where the neck cavity is.
Here. And now we're going to bring it back over here.
So back over the wings,
and turn the bird
over the
again.
thighs.
We'll come back over here and around here, and I'm going to turn it around here so you can see.
Okay, back over the tail.
Over the tail here, like that.
So it really is a neat little package, isn't it?
Just in one. And then
I've got some scissors here.
that's right, fine. There you go. That's it.
Right, we're almost ready to go into the oven. Do you need a towel for your hands after washing? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to give the chicken a lovely oil over, just so we don't stick to the oven tray. The skin stays nice and crisp. You've got clean hands. Do you want to do the salt and pepper while I wash mine?
Just over the top here. Hang on.
Okay, so this is now ready to go into the oven. The oven's set at 180 degrees. What I'm going to do is cook it for half an hour on each side, starting with the breast side up. So I do half an hour breast side up, turn it over for another half hour, and then turn it back up so the breast is up, ready to get golden and crisp for a further half hour or so. Now that will depend on the size of your chicken and the type of your chicken. This is a size 16, and generally for me, I think it does take about 90 minutes to cook them at 180. But if in doubt, if you're not sure if it's cooked, get a skewer, poke it into the thickest part of the thigh, and if the juices run clear, then you're ready to go. If the juices show any sign of pinkness at all, then leave it to cook further. Once it's out of the oven, as with all meats, make sure you leave it to rest. So let it sit for about 15 minutes before you start carving it. That way you'll get the best moisture in the meat, because the moisture will come back into the outer surface from resting. That's it. Perfect roast chicken in 90 minutes.